What is up, my friends? Samantha Farley here with the Farley Club. I am a business coach and consultant. I also have another business on the side. So today I want to talk about what it's like to be an entrepreneur. How do you start? How do you continue? How do you figure it out as you go? How do you actually turn your business into a success? So let's get started. If you don't know my story already, it's been about 2.5 years now that I have been an entrepreneur, where I've created my own income, haven't relied on a W-2 job to give me money. And let me just tell you, it has been a very interesting process. I know the news and like Forbes and all these cool media platforms tell you that like all these entrepreneurs are making all this money and it's such a great life and blah, 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 blah. And when you're reading these things, you're like, wow, this is so amazing, right? Like, why can't I do that? And you definitely can. You definitely can. However, I get frustrated by the media sometimes because they just portray this like amazing thing where people are making lots of money as their entrepreneurs, but they do not show the long struggle that they went through to get there. And that is a very important thing to learn if you're going to become an entrepreneur. So let me backtrack again. 2.5 years ago, when I quit my job, I thought this was going to be a piece of cake, just like a lot of people do. Well, let me explain that further. So I knew it was going to be a challenge. I mean, I knew that, running your own business is not the easiest thing in the world, but I saw all these people doing it. The company I worked for before, I worked with startups. So I saw all these companies doing it, and I saw some very young people creating businesses. And I remember thinking, like, if this person can do it, I can totally do this. However, at the time, I didn't really realize, like what I wanted to do, what my dream really was. All I knew is that I wanted to be on my own and not be controlled by someone else. So I quit my job, started my own sales consulting business, which I am still doing to today, which is great. However, it's not been an easy process. The first 4 months of owning the Farley Club, which is my sales consulting and marketing consulting business, I did not make any money. Well, that's a lie. I actually did make a couple grand, but that does not cover your expenses for 4 months. And that was an extremely, extremely hard process for me, and honestly, probably for anyone in this world, because guess what? Our bills don't go away. Unfortunately, they just don't disappear, which I wish they did, but they don't. And so you need income, or at least just a lot of money saved up before you start your business. So if I would give advice to anyone that wants to start the business, one, it's totally do it. Do not listen to anyone else, family, friends that are telling you not to do it. Just ignore them and definitely do it. But two, make sure you have some source of income or enough money saved for at least, in my opinion, like 8 months. A lot of people will tell you shorter, you need at least 3 to 4 months. But guess what? Running a startup is not easy, and it might take longer than 6 months. You honestly never know. Depending on the startup you're trying to start as well, it can take years. I have a friend actually right now who's been he has a very technical startup, so it does take some work to get to the final product. However, he's been doing this for over 1.5 years and has not made very much income. So thankfully, he had a lot of money saved that can support him, but you need to be prepared ahead of time, because if you only give yourself a couple of months, you're going to end up right back at that W-2 job. So number one is definitely start, guys. Having your own business is the most magical thing in the world. Don't get me wrong. It's a pain in the butt. It's stressful. It's very hard. There's a lot of things you're going to have to learn, but it's all worth it. Number two, make sure you have cash money aside, okay? Whether that's income, whether that's you keeping your W-2 job until you have enough money to quit, or if that's because you have lots of savings that you can use towards your bills. whatever the case may be, make sure you have money to pay your bills, because mentally that's a very hard thing to do, is run a business when you have no income. Plus, when you run a business, there are a lot of random things you are going to have to buy. For example, if you work for a W-2 job right now, they give you a laptop, usually. Well, guess what? If you don't have a personal laptop, you're going to have to buy a personal laptop. There's just so many little things, notebooks, a printer. Like, I had to have a printer because I print a lot. So there's so many little things that you might need that you're not aware of. Paying taxes, like, there's a lot of things, guys. All right. The third piece of advice that I would like to give you all is that you need to be mentally prepared for very difficult times. Do not believe the media when you see, all these entrepreneurs like selling their companies for $700 million. Those things happen, but it's very rare, I guess I should say. It takes a lot of work to get there. It doesn't just happen overnight. I know, for example, is the RX founder, I think was $600 million. He sold his company to Kellogg's, I believe. And I remember reading this and I was like, what? This is amazing. Like, I'm going to make a granola bar and sell it. But he lived in his parents' basement and worked his butt off to get to that point. So he deserves every single cent that he received because he created it himself. But I don't want you to think that this happened overnight, because it did not. He put a lot of work in to getting to that point. So get ready for the hard times, because if entrepreneurship was easy, everyone would do it. And guess what? Most of the time it's not easy. Every once in a while you get some breaks. I'm sure if you're even considering being an entrepreneur, you have seen, those graphs where it's like entrepreneur, or like life, it's like this, or what we think entrepreneurship is, and it's just a wonderful, nice, easy way up to the top. Well, that is not true. It's more like this, and mostly down, actually, because most of the time it's very, very, very sad and frustrating and lonely, and it's just a struggle. And so I want to warn you to be prepared for that. This is not a warning to say don't do it, because I think you should do it. Like, my number one advice tip: go for it. What else do you have to lose? But number two, or actually it's, I guess, number three, be prepared. Make sure you have friends and family that you can talk to, other entrepreneurs that you can talk to when things get hard, because it's really hard to create your own income, you guys, let alone grow a massive business or whatever it is that you want to do. The final piece of advice I actually have for you, some people may not agree with, and not every entrepreneur does it. However, if you do research on some of the most millionaire, billionaire people in this world, they all wake up early. So some of you may be like, hell yeah, let's wake up early. And then some of you right now might be looking at me like, you're crazy. I like to sleep in. I like my sleep. Why am I waking up early? And I'd love to say I get it, but I don't. I'm a morning person and I love waking up early. I love sunrises. I love the calm and peacefulness of the morning. I love mornings, and I get a lot of work done in the morning. That's when my head is in the right space. So if you don't wake up before 7 a.m., honestly, if you don't wake up before 6 a.m. on a weekday, you should try to start doing that. You will be absolutely amazed how much more time you get during the day, how much more peaceful it is. It's just a very magical time to do whatever you need to do, whether that's a mindset ritual, whether that's a workout, whether that's starting work. I usually work out in the mornings, and that's about 99% of the time I work out in the morning, because I know that if I don't work out in the morning, I will get stressed the entire day trying to figure out when I'm going to work out. So I wake up at 5, I do my workout, and then I feel calm and collected to, start working. So if you are not a morning person, it's going to be hard. Okay. It's going to be hard to try to wake up early. I get that part of it. However, I highly recommend you try to slowly wake up earlier. So if you right now wake up at 6:30, try waking up at 6:10. Okay, and see how that goes. Do that for a little bit, and then try waking up at 5:45, and keep going earlier and earlier. Trust me, it will be in your favor. That is my last piece of advice. I know that's not going to completely change your life, right? These are probably things you have heard before. However, I still listen to videos like this, and I've been an entrepreneur for almost 3 years. So keep listening to videos like this, get advice from other entrepreneurs. I believe you can do it. You got to believe you can do it. Good luck.